In this third Sunday of Advent, the Catholic Church wants us to meditate on the figure of St. John the Baptist. And we have this reading, remember, usually in year B, we are in year B, we read the Gospel according to St. Mark. Today we have the Gospel according to St. John. And St. John is talking about St. John the Baptist. And I want to meditate with you on this figure, this wonderful figure of St. John the Baptist, and how, in my opinion, he can help us to get ready for the wonderful feast that we are going to celebrate very soon, Christmas, the mystery of the incarnation of God among us. Let me give you a structure of the gospel if you want. We begin with St. John the Evangelist talking about St. John the Baptist. And he is saying, who is St. John the Baptist? He is giving us a definition of this man. And here what he says about St. John the Baptist. A man named John was sent from God. So he is somebody who was sent by God. He didn't come to talk in his own. He was somebody who was talking on behalf of somebody, in this case, God. God himself sent St. John the Baptist. Now, St. John continues giving, again, the evangelist, continues giving us the identity of St. John the Baptist. He came for testimony, to testify to the light. Second thing, he was sent by God, and his role, his mission was to give testimony, to be a witness. So, sent by God, his vocation was a mission to give testimony on behalf of Jesus Christ, to testify to the light. In the Gospel of St. John, the light is Jesus Christ. Before, we are chapter 1, verse 6 and 8, what I'm reading. Before you go to the Bible, before 6 and 8, St. John the Baptist says that Jesus Christ is the light and the life. Light and life. And that light, he's going to say later, Jesus Christ, some people didn't receive it. Some people didn't recognize it. St. John the Baptist is somebody who is going to give testimony on behalf of that light. And he continues, he was not the light, but he came to testify to the light. That's the first definition that we find in today's gospel. That one is given by St. John the Evangelist. Now, St. John the Baptist himself gives another definition of himself. When the priest and Levites go to ask him, who are you? He gives a definition saying who he is not, and later who he is. It's a beautiful way to say, define himself, saying, I am not that and that and that. So he is not three things, according to St. John the Baptist. He is not the Christ, he is not the prophet, and he is not Elijah. I'm not going to talk about that. There are many things that we can talk about that. I'm not going to talk about that. But he says later, I'm just the voice of one crying out in the desert. So here is himself saying who he is, the voice of one crying out in the desert. Remember, at the beginning of the gospel, St. John the Evangelist says that Jesus Christ is the Word, in Greek, logos. St. John the Baptist is not the Word, he is just a voice. So I'm going to talk about that, okay? The voice and St. John the Baptist being a witness, somebody who gives testimony to the light. It is beautiful and wonderful what St. John the Evangelist is saying about St. John the Baptist. So he was not the light, but he came to testify to the light. What does it mean? As Christians, and I was thinking about, especially some priests maybe, the priests, we may think that everything is about us. We maybe think that everything is about us. St. John the Baptist didn't have that problem. He didn't think that everything was about himself. Actually, he knew that everything was about Jesus Christ. And St. John the Evangelist says that in a very clear way. He is not the light. He is not the point. He is not the point that people should reach. He is just the means, actually one of the means to reach that point. He is the one who reflects that light. Maybe you heard me many months ago that I was saying that I like to take pictures. I'm not doing it anymore. I have been very busy. But I like to take pictures. And there is something in photography that we call reflectors. Huge. To give light to the subject that you are going to take the picture. And that fills the light in the place where the sun doesn't come. Reflects the light of the sun. It is the most beautiful light. You can buy flashes to fill in, but the most beautiful, because it's natural light, is the sun. So you reflect. They're huge, huge reflect. Okay, St. John the Baptist is saying, I am not the light. I'm just a reflector. I give witness to that light. My entire life is to reflect that light. It's not about me. Without that light, I cannot do anything. The reflector doesn't do anything at night. You need something to give light. The reflector is just that, a reflector, reflects the light. That's the mission of St. John the Baptist. Beautiful, as I was saying, that can give us a wonderful thing to think during this Advent season. We, as Christians, we have to become reflectors too. We are not the light. We can never be. We just reflect the light of Jesus Christ. Where there is darkness, like that reflector, we fill in those areas of the human existence where it is darkness and the light is needed there. We Christians should be that, reflectors all over. Could you imagine if the life of each one of us becomes a reflection of Jesus Christ? How everything is going to change, actually. Because we are not reflectors of that light, is actually a consequence of what we can see in our human existence. There are many wars, hatred, and many things that are contrary to the light of Jesus Christ. God is the light, Jesus Christ is the light, and we have to become reflectors of that light. Now, St. John the Evangelist says that that St. John the Baptist is not the light, but he is just somebody who testified to that light. Maybe you remember that there is another gospel that says something that can become a contradiction to what St. John the Evangelist is saying about St. John the Baptist. St. Matthew, chapter 5, verse 14 to 16. I'm going to read what St. Matthew says. And you can see how we can see, there is a contradiction there. You, disciples, says St. Matthew, are the light of the world. Remember you that gospel? A city sitting on a hill cannot be hid. No one lighting a lamp puts it under the table, but up on the table so that it may give light to everyone in the home. So you let your light shine in such a way that when people see the way you live, they will give glory to your Father who is in the heavens. Here St. Matthew is saying actually that we are light. St. John the Evangelist is saying that we are not. How can we understand that? We are just a lamp. It's actually the same thing I'm saying. We are not the light, we are just lamps who hold the light. And we are there meant to illumine everybody, to give that light, to shine wherever we go. This is the way that we should understand that. So, that's the first point. Become reflectors, if you want, become lamps, bearers of the light that comes from Jesus Christ. And the second thing that St. John the Baptist, now is St. John the Baptist saying about himself. He said that he is just a voice. I am the voice of one crying out in the desert. Make straight the way of the Lord. I was thinking, what does it mean? The voice is not the word, as I was saying. He is just the one who is pointing to the word, which is Jesus Christ. The voice is the one who is saying where the word is, and is the means to go to that word. St. John the Baptist is that voice, and we have to become also the voice of the Logos, Jesus Christ. My second invitation, and the last one, is just to become the voice of Jesus Christ wherever we go. We are reflectors and lamps, and we are also voice of Jesus Christ. We are, and we have to become the means that Jesus Christ uses to reflect his light and to give his words to everybody. So let us pray today in this Eucharist that as we celebrate this third Sunday of Advent, we may become really Christians who reflect and hold that light, which name is Jesus Christ, and Christians who become the voice of Jesus Christ all over. And in that way, we may be able to reveal, if you want, Jesus Christ in our midst. Please stand.